Okay. So you'll also get a recording of every week. I talk fast. So if I'm talking too fast, and that way you'll be able to go back and see, what I said, if you missed things and stuff like that. But this week is going to be on old school prospecting. And I know I say it's old school, but it actually still works. And a couple of months ago, I was watching Selling Sunset, and there was those two girls that were out and they literally picked up a high-end listing from door knocking. So those techniques still work. So I'm not going to bypass that. And that's where I really built my business. I mean, I went from, making a ton of money, owning a real estate and mortgage company, crushing it, to literally crickets, crying, wondering how I'm going to make it through the 2008 pandemic. And I just had to get off my butt and start door knocking. And I built my business very quickly that way. I also moved to Miami in 2012, not knowing anybody, not knowing how to get around, and I built my business quickly from phone prospecting. Is it fun? No. Does it work? Yes. So that's why this week, that's what we're going to be going over. Next week is going to be passive lead generation, passive prospecting. It's going to be about social media, videos, email, drip campaigns, texting, AI, which is so incredibly cool. Like, you guys are going to be like, holy crap. And funnels. I'm going to touch the surface this week on the cold prospecting, and next week touch the surface. And then on weeks 3 and 4, I'm literally going to get in and show you guys, if I'm going to build a quick funnel on, buyers or investors or people that might be looking for builders or whatever. I'm going to show you how the AI works. I'm going to get in and show you how to do these things. So that's going to be more hands-on. And then week 4 is going to be the sales techniques, NLP, which is neuro linguistic processing, NLP, versatility, pre-qualifying, tonality, mirror matching. These are all higher level sales skills, but so important when it comes to sales. And we're all in a sales business. Week 5 is going to be on marketing and branding, and then week 6 will be on time management. So that's basically how everything is going to play out. But before we begin, I just have to ask, did anybody have any wins this week? You did your miracle morning, you followed your schedule, you made more contacts than you would, you took a listing, anything like that? No.
Well, my miracle morning has been working out. I've made it to the gym twice this week. And thank you so much for sending that email in reference to utilizing my kids. So I did that this morning with the TikTok video,
Cool.
trying to get that going. And I actually have one deal under contract right now at Sky Sale.
Oh, that's awesome. So did you get that under contract this week?
Yes.
Yes. I love it.
Thank you.
Nice. Anybody else get any buyer contracts or listing contracts this week? And I'm asking everybody this every Friday, so somebody better be raising their hand. More than one person better be raising their hand, or I will be on you. Okay, love it. How about, who has listed? Anybody have a closing this week? No. Okay, did anybody have any buyer appointments this week or listing appointments? And I know it was a tough week just getting off of vacation, just trying to get back into the swing of things. Kids are still at home from school and stuff like that. Mine went back on Tuesday, thank God.
I got a contract from a listing this week.
A listing contract. So you wrote a listing contract. You took a listing.
No, I have a listing, but I got a contract on the listing.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so before we get into today, one of the things I want to tell you that I used to do, and this might sound crazy, and I'm a big believer in the universe, but I would every Sunday or whenever you're going to do, I'm going to give you your homework, but I would say, okay, I'm going to have 2 buyer contracts this week. I may have not had any buyers in my pipeline. Okay. I might not have had you know, anybody that I was actually working with, but I put it out there and I wrote it down. I'm going to have 123 Main Street under contract this week. So if you're not working, don't worry about the how or the who. Put it out there and do your daily actions, and I promise you it will come. And I know it sounds crazy, but it will. So when you're doing your homework this weekend, which I'm going to give you after the class, I want you to identify or state out loud, like, what is going to happen if you have listings, right? I'm going to get a price reduction on 123 Main Street. Put it out there. You know, I'm going to get one buyer appointment, one listing appointment, one buyer contract, because I promise you it will come. And don't worry about, well, how is that going to happen? Like, don't get into the how. Just put it out there and do your daily activities. We can't force people to buy, sell, list with us, do an appointment, anything like that. All we can control is what we do every day, but action brings action. So what you should be doing as professional salespeople and what the top agents are doing, so start to think about your day, is called plan, which is prospecting, going a lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating contracts. Like, those are your 4 things. Okay. So I want you, and if you're new, the 5th thing would be previewing property. So prospecting, lead follow-up, the money is in the lead follow-up first, you know, just so you guys know that. Appointments, and we'll go over that. Negotiating contracts, and then if you're new, previewing property. I'm also going to add, because it's part of the prospecting, lead generation. So even though I'm sorry, social media. So even though today we're not going to get into the social media aspect, that's also a big part of your prospecting plan. Market stats is another thing that I want you to write down, and we'll get into that on another call, but you really need to be checking the market stats every day. I mean, the very first thing you should do, probably before you even start your lead gen, is check your market stats. I will email everybody a market stat, and I'm going to share my screen with you. So I will email everybody this if you want it, but it just has the date. Okay. How many active, how many pending, how many closed, how many price reductions, how many expired, and how many are withdrawn. Do this every single day, and you're going to start to see what the market is doing. A lot of times we don't know what to say to people. If you know what the market's doing, it's going to become a lot easier to talk to people about, you know, real estate and things like that. If you're looking to get into a certain price point. So what I used to do is I had this by area. Okay. So this would be broad, Lee County, Collier County, because they're different, right? But I used to have it in specific areas. So like when I was in Miami, it was Miami, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, like by area. So here, for example, you could even set, you know, if you wanted to get nitty gritty, you could do, you know, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Lehigh, because the market's different in different areas. If you're looking to get into higher end homes, you need to know what the higher end listings are doing, because they're going to be different than a general broad, you know, just Lee County as a whole, for example. So you want to do that. And I would also add price per square foot. It's a little skewed right now for us in our area because of all of the, you know, properties that were damaged with Hurricane Ian, but I would definitely start to watch that price per square foot as well. So I will, after we get off the call, I'm going to email you the market stats. I'm going to email you also, this is basically the agenda that I just went over. And then I want you to realize, okay, a lot of times, especially if you're type A personality and you want everything now and immediately, like I am, you know, your in real estate, but you're building a business and you're learning a profession, and it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of, just prospecting, role playing, accountability. And there's so many different things to learn. When you're just starting out, you wear all of the hats and you're doing the things that you don't want to be doing, that eventually you can hire somebody else to do. Can everybody see my screen here with the agenda? I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you can make more money than a doctor. You can make more money than a lawyer. You can make more money in this business, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And so whether you've been doing this for, 1 year, 1 month, or 20 years, things are always going to be changing. You're always going to be learning. Contracts change, ways to market yourself changes, your sales skills are going to change, how people communicate changes, right? So when I first started, I don't even think there was Facebook. And now a lot of people communicate on Facebook, like literally through Facebook Messenger and chat and stuff like that. So that's going to change. So you're going to be learning and growing. And so I know it can get frustrating when you want it to all happen immediately. But what I don't want you guys to have is analysis paralysis and think, I don't know this, so I need to wait and learn it all and take GRI in this class and that class and and get it all. Because by the time you get it all done, it's all going to be changed anyways. So do not have analysis paralysis. The way to grow quickly is to just do it and fail. Who cares, right? You're failing, falling forward, and we're all going to fail. We're all going to make mistakes. It's not a big deal. It's just life. So I don't want you to have analysis paralysis. If you need help with thinking of how to do something, let me know and we can come up with a plan. And don't spend money on things that you just don't need right now. So like the biggest bang for your buck is going to be in coaching and personal development, watching YouTube videos, having a solid CRM that works for you, lead generation. And those are going to be the keys to your long-term success. So I will be sending that to you as well. So let's start with the active lead gen. I was just on a call with Liz because I was helping her with something she's working on, and she was all excited for the call. So I don't know if she couldn't get in. Let me just text her real quick. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So this week we're talking about active lead generation. As I was just mentioning, you're the CEO of this business. This is your business. If you're with Jones & Co. Realty, it's not JJ's business, right? Her business model is something different. Her business model is bringing in other agents. Your business model is selling real estate at this time. Unless you're a team leader, then you might have a different business model, but you're the CEO of your own business. And when you're starting out, you're wearing a lot of hats. It's almost like you're opening up a restaurant and you're like the chef, you're the person that seats people, you're the one that takes the money, So eventually, you're going to identify the things that you really enjoy in this business and the things that you don't enjoy, and then you're going to be able to outsource the things that you don't enjoy. But being the CEO of your business, not only does it take time, it does take money. Okay. And so you have to think about, if you don't have the money to spend on certain things, then, are you going to be with a higher split company where you have to fork out the money, or are you going to be with a lower split company, but you're getting a lot of extra things? Okay. So you have to decide, but realize that this is your business. So you have to put some money out there. So if you don't have a CRM with the company that you're with, then you have to get a CRM. And these are a couple, and I'm going to go through these quickly, but here's a couple of types of CRMs that you can look up and do some research on and figure out which one works for you. What should the CRM do? It has to be able to email, store all of your data, your company's, your people, organize your people, tasks for lead follow-up, send out reminders, auto emails, text, lead capture. If it does text, that's a bonus. Some do, some don't. So if you don't have a CRM, look at these companies and see. Or if you do have a CRM and you don't like the way your CRM works, which is a lot of times, then find a different one. A lot of times I hear that CRMs are too complicated. Hold on 1 second. She's having the same problem about trying to get in. Okay. So cold calling and door knocking, when we're talking about the active lead gen, okay, I want you to keep in mind that it can take a lot of calls to get one listing. It can take a lot of calls to get one appointment. But once you start getting good at it, things start to snowball. So expired listings were my thing. And that's where I did a lot of business, as well as pre-foreclosure. For sale by owners, I called those as well. I called the just listed, I called the just sold. Probate, I was starting to get into before we left Miami. Tenant occupied properties, geographic farming. These are all, techniques for cold calling or door knocking. In order to call these people, you have to have the phone numbers or a service to get you the information. So some of the services that you can use is Vulcan 7, LandVoice, RedX, and you can do your research on these afterwards. Mojo, which is a dialer. It's an awesome dialer. And I'm going to talk about dialers in just a little bit. But what it doesn't have that's awesome is like accurate phone numbers. REI Replay. And then if you're thinking about door knocking or want to look at any sort of like marketing material for real estate, Prospect Plus is good. So when I was door knocking expireds or for sale by owners or whatever, I bought a bunch of door knockers at Prospect Plus and then go door knocking, if no one's home, I would leave the door knocker or the door hanger or whatever it's called. So Prospect Plus has a lot of really good ones. Out of all of those service providers there, Vulcan 7 has the best phone numbers by far. But it's only a one-line dialer. All of these will also be a CRM as well. So I had 2 CRMs. I had Vulcan 7. I also had Mojo. And then I got the expired, for sale by owner, just listed, just sold. I got all of those phone numbers and they all went into either Mojo or Vulcan had them as well. But I also had a CRM on top of that. And when we talk about some passive prospecting techniques, I'm going to explain to you how I did email drip campaigns using these services. But this is where you will get your numbers from. One other one that I did not mention is called PropStream, and that's one that I'm using right now. So I can actually, throughout these next 6 weeks, do a little video for you guys on what I'm using PropStream for. But you can basically, it's more for investor, not so much expired listings and stuff like that. So it's more for real estate investing. Other services to grow your business. I know some people on the call are using Boomtown. Boomtown, Zillow, any of those services. Okay, this is my take on that because I was with Zillow for a while. I forget some of the others, trying to rack my brain earlier today, trying to remember some of the other ones that I used. It takes a long time and it takes a good amount of money. It's not gonna be, oh, I'm using Boomtown and I'm gonna get deals. It might be 2-3, 2-3 years before it's you're cultivating leads, and they're in there and they're, getting warmed up. And I'm sure Rebecca could speak to this. But a good portion of her business comes from Boomtown. That being said, and I'm sure it took a while. It wasn't that she got Boomtown and bam, she started closing, deals right away. So Boomtown and those types of things is going to be money out of your pocket. So that's something that you need to think about. Real Geeks is a really good, I know people that use Real Geeks and they are doing amazing, and it's from Real Geeks. So that might be something that you want to look into. And it's a CRM, it's a lead gen thing. It's similar to Boomtown, but it's a little bit more robust. And then Bold Leads and Market Leader. So those are lead service providers. Those are not, here's expired listing numbers, and I'm just going to call these people. These are actual lead providers. Like, here's a lead for you. Now that lead may or may not be an actual lead. It may or may not be, it might be a cold lead, a warm lead. Usually it's not a brand new hot lead. And sometimes, like for Zillow, for example, if you're on Zillow, and this is why I had Zillow for 4 months and I stopped it, you're not the only agent that's getting, the Zillow leads. And if someone is looking in area code 33928 and then decides to go to, another like Estero and then goes to Cape Coral, well, now they're getting contacted by a different real estate agent. And so it can be very expensive to pay for things like that if you don't have enough for longevity. Meaning to keep it for a good amount of time.
Can I make a suggestion, Danielle? So, of course, when I got Boomtown, I automatically thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to get all these qualified leads, everything's going to be great. The thing that I realized, and I don't know if Rebecca can speak to this too, is that, a lot of times, you have buyers and even sellers that are just browsing, right? So when they're browsing, in order to see listings, they have to fill out their information. And a lot of these clients or prospects, they're filling out information on everyone's site that comes to you. So it's not like it's your lead only. You still have to work that relationship. And I would suggest, like for me, I actually ended up splitting the cost with my lender. So reach out to your preferred lender and see if they're willing to split that monthly fee with you. And then that way it's not so expensive for you.
Yeah. And it, it really depends on also how long have you had Boomtown?
I started Boomtown last March.
Okay. So it's going to be a year in March. And then you had mentioned that you were thinking about getting rid of Boomtown in March.
Only because, when you have too many different systems going on, it can be convoluted and confusing. So you end up not working one over the other. And of course, with me being in the Kane Luxury team, we already have a CRM and a lead system there on a round robin, if you will. So I closed 2 homes with Boomtown and 6 lot deals with Boomtown since March.
So that's a decent, lots are not, don't pay as well, but it's still a decent amount of, of deals that you've closed with them. So the big thing is actually actively calling them. And, making sure that that's part of your prospecting, part of your prospecting plan is actively calling those leads. So when we talk about active marketing, because if you have a service like that and the leads are coming in, but you're not doing anything and you're kind of, like waiting for them to come to you, that would be more passive and very expensive for passive. So active, when we're talking about active, it's going to be your cold calling or your warm calling or, phone, text, and email. It's higher rejection, So your rejection is going to be a lot higher than if it was a referral from a friend or somebody calling you and saying, hey, I want to go and look at, your listing at 123 Main Street. It's going to be a mix of people that you know and you don't know, but it's 100% needed to grow your business unless you're not wanting, unless your business plan doesn't call for, a decent amount of deals per year. There's some people that are okay with 4 deals a year, right? So active marketing is definitely needed to grow your business. It's phone prospecting, cold calling, and door knocking. The biggest thing and the biggest issue that I see, and this is not just in real estate, this is in any sales business, is that we don't do the activities, not because we don't want to do the activities. We don't do the activities because we're not structured. We're not, we don't have the plan. We don't have the consistency in our schedule. So part of your homework this weekend, and I'll give it to you at the end, is every single Sunday night, your week needs to be planned. You can't walk into the office or walk into your prospecting area and say, okay, I'm going to start prospecting now. Who do I call? It's never going to work, right? So I would get the daily success plan that you have, the paper, and fill it out for the entire 5 days. So you have your 5 new contacts, and it could be Boomtown. It could be, expired listings for sale by owners, whatever it is. On the right-hand side, it says what lead, right? Did you get a lead from that? Were they the lead? Did you ask for a referral? And then they gave you a lead. So you're going to put whoever the lead was there, but I would have this all filled out for 5 days on Sunday. So that way, when you walk into your office every single day, you're going to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the top. All you got to do is cross it off, right? Okay, here's my 5 new contacts that I plan on calling on Monday. Here's my 5 existing contacts that I'm calling on Monday. Here's the 5 people from my database that I'm calling on Monday. And then the top part is having you keep track of everything. Us visually seeing what our annual numbers are, our annual goals are, and our year to date is probably going to motivate us more than anything else, because we're like, oh no, I'm behind on my goals, right? So how many text messages, how many emails, how many calls, how many face-to-face, how many Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram posts? And you can tailor this to whatever your daily success plan is. But the reason why we don't hit our goals has nothing to do with the fact that we don't try or we don't want to. A lot of the time it all boils down to not having a plan and just kind of winging it every day. And the second part of the daily success plan is your lead follow-up and your thank you cards, if that's part of your plan. So you have to plan your work and then work your plan and get control of your schedule. So let's talk about prospecting, because we're going to get into scripts here in just a minute. With prospecting, okay, I had a prospecting cockpit, which is what we called it in Mike Ferry. You can do this however you want, but when you start your lead gen, let's just say it's at 9, okay, or 9:30 or whatever. You check the MLS real quick, you jotted everything down so you kind of know what your market stats are. You have a good idea as to what the market's doing, whether it's up or down. Do we have new listings, more listings coming on the market? Is our inventory less, that type of thing. You have to get yourself in the mood to prospect. So I had a prospecting cockpit. Mine looked like this. If you go to a science fair and you see a trifold thing, that's what mine was. And I had my why, my vision board in the center, because no one wants to make these calls. And then on the sides, I had my scripts. So I mainly called expired for sale by owners, I knew the just listed, just sold script, so I didn't really need to do that. And I got good enough to know the expired as well, but it's good to have it in front of you. And I had my objections on the other side. So I had my why, my goals, my scripts, and my objections. If you don't want to do a prospecting cockpit, you can have it in front of you, right? But professional salespeople in the beginning are scripted, but then it becomes natural and easy and you make it your own. The thing is that, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, you have to be finding out the what, where, when, and why. And Rebecca and I had a conversation last night about one of her clients. And what happens is they're going to start to give you objections, right? I don't want to move because of this. I don't want to, but you know, deep in your heart that it's an actual good move for them. And a lot of times people just don't want to make decisions. So you have to be the one helping them make the decision. And that's through two things: question-based selling, three things, digging deep to find their motivation. And then when they start to give you those objections, or uncertainty about what they're doing, using their motivation to show them why it's best for them to do whatever it is that they're looking to do. Reduce the price on their listing because they have to move in 30 days. Sell their home because they, have too big of a home and they want to start to travel and it's better for them to downsize, whatever the case may be. So the prospecting cockpit and the scripts are there to help you because they're question-based selling and they're there to help you figure out their motivation. And that's when you're pre-qualifying and re-qualifying people that, you're always going back to that motivation or trying to reestablish motivation because people's motivations change. So you want to have your scripts printed and in front of you. You want to have a 3x5 card with any of the objections that you get a lot, because we forget and we're kind of like, and I remember when I was first starting calling expires, like I would get to the point where I didn't know what to say. So I would hang up. I'd have to think about what I would want to say, write it down, and then call the people back and say, oh, I was actually just thinking blah, 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 whatever I wanted to say. So you also want to have a blank sheet of paper in front of you and start to write down the objections that you get, okay? Because you'll notice sometimes if you're getting the same objection, maybe you need to change the way you word things. Or if you're getting the same objection, have a kick-ass objection handler on what you're going to say. And I had a couple down that got me the appointment every time. So having that 3x5 card with the objections that you want to, ask or say, and then having that blank sheet of paper to write down the common objections that you're getting. Practicing your scripts, role plays, and objections is huge. Whether you practice with, your kids, your spouse, a role play partner, anybody in this accountability group, practicing them is so important. I was in a role play group. I role played every single morning at 7:30 in the car. My kids would listen to me on the way to school. That's probably why my son is so good in sales because he's always trying to sell me on something. So he probably, growing up listening to me and my scripts and all of that other stuff. But even when I was in Europe in the summer for 4 or 5 weeks, I never missed my role play partner ever. So wherever I was back at my hotel room or apartment or whatever at 3:30 to be on the call with my role play partner, because if you missed calls, they kicked you out of the group and I did not want that to happen. So that's really, really important. And reading through them so you don't sound scripted. When I was first starting out calling expired, I read them in the morning. I read them in the afternoon. I watched people on YouTube. I would go and Google on YouTube, Mike Ferry expired listing script. It was in my car listening to it. So whatever it is that you're working on, that's the intensity that has to happen in order for you to get good at it. And that's with anything in life. You know, Astrid is into fitness and she can tell you with working out, right? When you first start working out, you're like, oh, but the more you do it, you become stronger. It's the same with this, right? The more you, when you first start calling, you're going to sound rusty. You're going to think you sound terrible. You're going to screw up. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to get to a point where you don't know what to say next. You know, they're going to be rude, hang up on you, blah, 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 all that stuff. But the more you do it, the better you get, right? So this is one piece of the prospecting. Unfortunately for me, there wasn't a whole lot of like crazy social media back in 2009 and 10, or at least I didn't think so. So this was like all of my business. Good thing for you guys, we can switch it all up now and you don't have to make all of your business this. But believe it or not, it actually did become fun to a certain extent. So what do you put on your 3x5 cards? Okay, one of the things that when you look at prospecting, people you know, right? People that sphere of influence, family, friend, even people you don't know, your goal is not to call and shoot the shit with them, okay? Your goal, because this is your job, this is what you're doing today. You can shoot the shit with them like at 6 o'clock at night, but not during your lead gen time. One of my biggest problems is I don't know how to get people off the phone. And like they will talk to me for 45 minutes and I will just, I mean, sometimes I even have to put the phone down, put it on mute. I'm doing something else. So I've had to work at what I have to say. So in the Mike Ferry script, which we're going to look at in a minute, his opening line on his script and on a lot of others, because they all use the same script, but tweak it a little bit, is, hi, Julie, this is Danielle. This is the business call. You have a minute. The reason why he says this is a business call is because of time. He's wanting it to like shorten down the time. One of the things that I will say is, and if I say this to you, you know what? No, I'm running into a meeting. I was just thinking of you, you know, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. But you always want to end with who do you know that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Those are the words. If you are doing your calling and you do not ask that question, then that was not a contact. Because you just called somebody and didn't even like ask them who, like your whole point is to find buyers and sellers, right? So you can word it however you want, but your whole point in calling is asking people who they know that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And if they say, and the reason why you say, who do you know, instead of do you know, is because they will actually think about it. If you say, do you know anybody that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? No, they're not going to think, oh, do I know? So when you rephrase it to who do you know that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest, they might think about it for a minute. Now, some people take it a step further. Can you think of anybody in your church group, you know, family, friends, relatives at work, blah, blah, blah? No? Okay, great. Would it be okay for me to follow up with you and give you updates on the market? Just something else you can say. Maybe have that on your 3x5 card. And would you do me a favor if you hear of anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest? Would you mind sending them my way? Okay. I know you think, or not you, meaning you, but a lot of people think it sounds salesy or weird, but I want you to think about if someone said that to you. If someone called you and said, hey, Jamie, you know, I was just curious who you know that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And you knew that person, you wouldn't be like, why'd they call me and ask me that? You know, you're going to bring them something of value. We're going to go over the script in just a second. And then would you do me a favor if you hear of anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest, would you mind sending them my way? Right? So it's really not salesy at all. Going back to the prospecting plan. Okay, so we have our prospecting cockpit, we have our scripts, we have our objection handlers, We have our 3x5 cards because we need to remind ourselves that we're calling to find buyers and sellers. You have to have a room that's designated to prospecting. Okay. You can't have a room that, and it's got to be free and clear of distraction. And if you're like me, a self-proclaimed squirrel where I'm like, oh, that looks good, like you really have to limit what's in your room. The other thing, because I remember Astrid saying the other day is, just about the rejection, you have to make it fun. So I always had music on, right? I've been to a ton of prospecting schools. So certain people throughout the country would have prospecting schools, Vegas, California, West Palm Beach, and it's fun, it's energizing. We're role playing, we have our headsets on, we're listening to music. So that's how I set it up. Don't have it be so boring because it sucks anyways. So listen to your favorite music, right? Stand up, smile, have fun. You got to bring your energy into it. Get a prospecting partner. Sometimes I would have a prospecting partner on mute and they would be on mute, but on my iPad, and we would like watch each other. And if we got a, listing appointment, it was like a high five, So find other people to do this with and have fun and make it fun. And I actually am now thinking I should probably have a prospecting day at my office so we can all do it together, because it can suck if you make it suck. But if you're standing, and you have to stand up, I never sat down when I prospected. I had a hand-free headset, because you need to have more energy and more emotion than you normally would. And if you sit, because that comes through on the phone, smiling comes through on the phone. So standing up, having fun, listening to music, getting yourself in that mindset is going to be what will help you during that time, and what will make a mundane and boring task actually be fun. And when you get that first listing appointment, you will be jumping for joy, because you'll be like, this is the best freaking thing ever. It's exciting. It's like, I can't explain it. But anyways, so you also don't want to multitask, right? You have to be intentional here. You're looking for buyers and sellers. You're looking for leads. You're not looking for contacts, right? So when I first started prospecting, I hated it. First of all, my goal was 30 a day. So 10 an hour for 3 hours. And I would say, oh, that person hung up on me. That was a contact. And then I started to realize my business was not growing and I wasn't getting the amount of business that I wanted. And I started to say, okay, well, that's not really a contact. Having a conversation with somebody is a contact. Asking them if they're looking to buy or sell or whatever is a contact. Talking to somebody and them answering the phone and saying, F you, don't ever F and call me again, click, that's not a contact. And that does happen, by the way. So anyways, and if it hasn't happened to you, then I promise it will. If you start doing this and you're calling like expireds, and especially expireds, they get pretty upset. The other thing is that you're gonna, Taylor, 1 second. The other thing is that you're gonna have your contact sheets in front of you. Okay, so you need to track your contacts. You'll have your daily success plan, but if you're going to, and it was in the script book, which we're going to get to in 1 second. But your daily contact sheet, right? So that way you can cross off your contacts as you go. And that will also be part of your daily success plan. But if you have a contact sheet, you'll have that in front of you, or your daily success plan. Question-based selling. So all of the scripts are asking open-ended questions. You will never see a question for someone to say yes or no to you, because you're always going to get the reflex no, always. And if you are not skilled and scripted enough to get through that reflex no, then you're going to have an issue with getting more deals. And let me just explain the reflex no, okay? It's just like going to the store, White House Black Market, and you're looking for a black dress, specifically going to the store. And the sales lady says, right when you walk in, is there something I can help you with? Most of us will say, no, I'm just looking, right? But you know you're there for a specific thing. It's a reflex. No, it's no, I'm just looking. Now you're going to look around a little bit, and then maybe if they ask again, say, then you might open up a little bit, but it's just a reflex no. That's all it is. And you're going to get that all the time. Unless you ask open-ended questions. A question that does not allow for a yes or no answer. Have a dialer. You cannot hand dial. If you're prospecting and you're using, you're calling expireds or for sale by owners or any of those, even if you're calling your sphere of influence and you have them in an Excel spreadsheet, you can upload them to the dialer, because if you are dialing by hand, it takes a long time. It's super annoying. It gets frustrating. No one's answering the phones, all of that stuff. So have a dialer and then aim for 20 contacts a day. And we talked about that. That would be an amazing goal. If you guys could do 20, like 5 new, 5 existing, 5 lead follow-up, 5 new, 5 existing, 5 database, and then 5 lead follow-up. My goal was 30. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's what I did. I was a huge expired listing caller. I just got to the point where it was like an expired listing rut that I was always in. I was talking to, I don't know if you guys know Corey Lauer, but him and I went to lunch the other day, and he was like, he's in the same, all of what I'm saying, he would be shaking his head yes right now, because him and I have been in like the same coaching for a while. And he's like, I'm in that expired listing rut, it's like you just get into a rut. So don't do that. It's like my Facebook, expired listings are either going to be a hot market because there's a ton of them, which we will start to see a lot more come on the market, or it's going to be a terrible market and super competitive because there's not really a whole lot of them. Noise canceling headphones, which is what I just talked about. So the AirPods, Beats, and a hands-free or a hands-free headset, which you can find on Amazon. I always have my computer up in case you need to look up anything. Now, the fake it until you make it. When I moved to Miami, I didn't want people to know I was new. I didn't want people to know I didn't know how to get around. So I had my computer, I had 2 computers actually, but I had it up just in case, in the MLS also, just in case I was calling, because then I was calling expireds. So you can have an expired in Homestead, Hialeah, Sunny Isles, Miami Beach. Like, I don't know if you know that area or not, but it's basically like having one in Lehigh, Cape Coral, Northport, in 5th Ave, Naples, like call after call. So you don't know. And if you don't know the area, you don't even know what you're talking about. So I would have that up so I can kind of like throw in an address and see where that was. And oh, we're right around the corner from St. Anne's Church. Now, I might not have known where St. Anne's Church was, but if I say that, they're like, oh yeah, okay, So in case you got to jump on LIPA real quick or call your county property appraiser or whatever, what you're not going to do, which is what I tried to do when I first started prospecting, is you're not going to research your listings before you call these people. So if it's FSBO, expired, pre-foreclosure, whatever, do not do any research, because it's a waste of time. You're going to call, you're going to follow the script, you're going to go for the appointment, and then you can do your research afterwards. But a lot of times people want to do the research before. You may or may not get that person on the phone. You may or may not ever talk to that. Like, it just doesn't, you don't want to do that. And then you want to make sure that you're taking breaks, right? You're taking breaks every, however many times, 45 minutes. The big thing for me, and this is just me in general, and you'll get to know yourself. The big thing for me is I'm not like an all or nothing type of person, but like, I don't take lunch breaks during the day, for example. If I take a lunch break, I lose my momentum. I'm super hardcore from Tuesday through Friday, right? And then Saturday, Sunday, I relax a little bit, but it kills my momentum. So Monday is slow for me. It's just like how I am, but I'm nonstop business Tuesday through Friday. So for me, I never took a break. If you need breaks, right, and that's how it helps you recharge or whatever, then take the break. So whatever works for you. But the biggest thing is that you cannot let anything interrupt this time. This is like a doctor's appointment for you, whether it's prospect, active, passive, whatever. I don't care what happens. Like your phone is off unless you're using your cell phone to make the calls. But if you see someone calling in, like I never took any calls. If someone wanted a listing appointment during that time, I never went on a listing appointment during that time. It's as sacred as the doctor's appointment because this is your money-making time. And this is where you're going to be moving the needle the biggest to make an impact for your family, to make an impact on your life, to make an impact on other people's lives. And this has to be, the most sacred time because this is where the money is going to come from. So we used to say, and this was one of our affirmations in Mike Ferry, like smile, dial, make a pile. So that was what we would say before we got on the phone. Let's smile, dial, make a pile. So if you have a team, then maybe you guys do this together. It could be fun, like make it fun. And a couple things before we get into the script, is I want you guys to realize this. Real estate, not just real estate, any sales business works in 90-day cycles. Okay. Is my screen sharing paused? Can you guys see my screen?
It's still on the Word document.
Yeah, we can still see the original.
That's not what I wanted you guys to see. Why did that happen? Okay, wait. Okay. Sorry. I had the whole PowerPoint. I'm going to reshare and then I don't know if it will even show that, but I'll send you guys the PowerPoint.
You have the PowerPoint on now, but when you click share screen, when you did it originally and you clicked on the Word document, then it's only going to stay on that. If you click whatever the
Darn
one
it!
at the bottom is, then it changes per whatever you do.
I told you I'm not techie. This better still be recording. I think it is. It is. Okay, so real estate works in 90-day cycles. And so I know it's super frustrating when you guys put in the work and you're like, shit, nothing's happening. Like 20 days goes by and nothing's really happening. I promise you it will if you do the activities. Real estate works in 90-day cycles. So what you do today is going to bring you business in 90 days. And that's why we really should have had this class in September, and this actual September, I will be doing this again because the business planning portion, if your plan is done in October and you start working your plan in October, what you do in October, November, and December is going to dictate your income in January, February, and March. And so if you did not put the work in October, November, and December, your January, February, and March right now is not going to bring you the income that you want. So what happens is now we start to really, do a lot more work and speed up. So your April, May, and June is going to be amazing by doing the work now. So now if you're just starting, all of those activities that you're doing, the calls that you're making, your lead follow-up, the people that you're getting, that you're cultivating, all of that stuff, it's not going to be an immediate payoff. It's going to pay off in a couple of months. So don't give up. Don't stop doing the work, because a lot of times people throw in the towel. Oh, this isn't working. I'm not going to do this anymore. I promise you this works. What I would throw in the towel for is if you don't have the money to send postcards every month to a specific area, in my opinion, that's a waste of money. Okay. Like this will work because real estate is all about talking to people. It's a sales business. And so the more people you talk to and the more you follow up on the leads, because the money is in the follow-up. If you guys just make the calls and don't follow up with anybody, forget it. Don't make the calls at all, because you're not going to get a sale on day one, right? I mean, you can, but it's hard. So a lot is going to come from your follow-up. And the difference between average people and successful people is the speed of implementation. how quickly you implement what you learn, right? So if you have that analysis paralysis, it's going to take you a lot longer to get ahead. If you want to do certain things, like let's just say you want to go after high-end listings. There's a book, it's called Who Not How. It is such an amazing book. Think about what you want to do and don't necessarily think about like how you're going to do it. So if you want to go after higher end listings and you're new to the business, for example, Taylor is newer to the business. She wants, you know, higher end listings. Rebecca, who's on her team, takes higher end listings and has the contacts, right? So you bring somebody else in. When I moved to Miami, I didn't know the area. I was fine, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 listings. But if it was a $2 million listing, I went to an agent in my office and said, hey, I just got a listing appointment at this $2 million listing. Would you go and do the appointment with me and we can, you know, split it 50-50? Because 50% of something is better than 0% of nothing, first of all, okay? Second of all, I found that I was not calling those listings because I was scared. If I was calling expireds and I saw a $2 million expired pop up, I'm like, oh shit, click, delete. I didn't want to call that person because I was not wanting to go on that appointment. I then started saying, well, why don't I bring somebody else in on it? And it's so much better. Door knocking. I had an agent in the office. I didn't really like door knocking. And don't door knock in gated communities because you'll probably get in trouble. But I had an agent in the office and she wanted to door knock. So we did it together and we split whatever we got, right? So she did one side of the street, I did the other. So if you want to do something, but you're uncomfortable doing it for whatever reason, something is stopping you, okay? Let's figure out what the problem is so we can overcome it. And that speed of implementation is huge. You just have to do it. So everybody should have the scripts. If you don't, I will email them to everybody again. I did tweak them a little bit. I set our calls for an hour and a half on Fridays. So we have about like 15 minutes left. So let me pull up actually the scripts real quick. And there was a couple that I wanted to go through with you guys before. Let's see something. I'm going to do a new share. Actually, do you guys, let me look at something. Do you guys have the scripts in front of you? That's not the one. Oh, this is what I'm creating a script for Liz. She has somebody that I don't know where the scripts are. So but in the script book, and I'm just going to read this from here then, and I'll share it with you guys afterwards. The biggest thing is you have to find out the what, where, when, and why. Okay. Are you guys are you seeing this script review PowerPoint? Okay. A lot of times when you're in real estate and you get a lead, you get so excited that you don't dig in deep for the motivation. You don't really figure out what people are trying to do. And so this I will be sharing with everybody. And it just says the 3 things that you must find out are the 4 things are what, where, when, and why. So when somebody, if it's a lead that calls you, okay, because they were a referral from a friend or whatever, you want to find out what are they looking to do, right? Are they looking to buy? Are they looking to sell? Are they looking to invest? You know, what are they looking to do? Find out whether or not it's going to be their primary residence. Is it going to be a second home? Like what specifically are they wanting to do? And then where are they looking to go? Where are they looking to move? So these are questions that you guys can ask, and I'll send this to you. So you want to dig in deep to really determine what they're looking for. If they say they want to be on the water in Cape Coral, well, then you need to make sure that you're asking more questions. The more questions you ask the people, the better you're going to be to help them find what they're really looking for. Because a lot of times people will say buyers are liars, right? But they're not necessarily liars. You're just not finding them what they want. So they went to another agent. And the reason why they did that, not every time, but sometimes, is because you didn't ask enough questions to figure out exactly what they were looking to do. And if it's a lead that came from Boomtown or Zillow or something else, we're in a transient area. This isn't a small hometown. Well, it might have been when Rebecca was growing up, but it's not anymore. And because she's from Bonita Springs. But this is not a small town, so it's a very transient area. So loyalty is not there like it is in a small town. So you have to be very good at building rapport. You have to be very good at asking the right questions to figure out exactly what people want. If someone wants to be on the water in Cape Coral, you need to know why they want to be on the water. If they have a sailboat and you're putting them in the Northwest with a million bridges, that's a problem, right? And so if someone's coming from another area, they're trusting you as their agent, and that's, you sell them a property and I'm sure they would do their due diligence too, but you need to figure out why they're looking for specific things. Do they need to be near a certain school? So if you look at any of my old stuff, my tagline was Danielle Damiano, your lifestyle specialist. Your lifestyle specialist was because I was helping them live their lifestyle here in Florida, whether it was golfing or boating or shopping. So really figuring out what it is that they're looking for, where they want to be. And then also, when does that have to happen? Because if they're 6 to 8 months down the road, you don't want to be that super annoying person that's following up with them on a daily basis, right? So your lead follow-up strategy is going to be dependent on what their time frame is for either buying or selling. If their time frame is moving immediately, you need to be all over them, like all over them, more than you think you should be, or else they're going to go somewhere else. Okay, if their time frame is 2 to 3 months, then you need to be following up with them weekly. Okay, that's not too much. If their time frame is 6 to 8 months, then once a month, following up with them, touching base, and always re-qualifying them for motivation. And then the fourth thing that you're finding out from them is why this is important to them, and really, really, really digging deep for the motivation. Because you're going to use their motivation when they start to get squirmy or not sure if they want to do this, or should I just rent, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so really digging deep for their motivation. So with the scripts, and when we get into more of the active, like as I mentioned today, I'm touching the surface on this. Next week I'll touch the surface on the passive, but then we're gonna really dig deep into it when it comes to for rent by owner, for example. Okay, for rent by owner, what I would be doing with them, if that was something that you wanted to do, is going on the MLS, pull up every property that had a tenant that moved in 6 months ago, and send the tenant a card, right? Or if you can get their phone number, give them a call. Hey, I see that you rented 123 Main Street last August. Our market is incredible right now, and I'm just curious if you're thinking of buying when your lease is up. If so, give me a call. Here's my card, that type of thing. You can preview if there's properties on the market, tenant occupied properties. If there's properties listed for sale, and you preview a tenant occupied property, leave your card, right? Maybe even leave that note with a card, because maybe they're looking to buy. These are all different things that you can be doing to get new business. Okay. So if we look at the script book, or the scripts, the first part is the affirmations, and these affirmations are huge that you can literally like pick the ones you like I love to prospect and scream it before you get going. Smile, dial, make a pile. You know, all of these are different affirmations that we've used in our role play groups over time. The other ones are the daily log sheets and the contact sheets. I'm not going to get into the universal responses and tie downs right now, because like I said, that's going to come up in one of the sessions that we do. And you're going to start to see some really cool stuff when it comes to sales. But I want to go just read off a couple scripts real quick with you. And that way you can, Facebook, of course, is calling me now when they were supposed to call me 2 hours ago. Okay, so the Center of Influence or Past Client script, okay? So this is the Mike Ferry script, but if you look at Tom Ferry and a lot of other fairies or whatever, no, not a lot of other like people, they all use the same script. I was looking at Brian Eisenhower's scripts the other day, and I'm like, he just basically took Mike Ferry's. And when I look at Mike Ferry's and I look at Tom Hopkins, which I know no one in here knows who Tom Hopkins is. I only know because someone gave me the book, but he's from the 80s. All of his scripts are the same as Mike Ferry's, but they're all about like copy machine sales, which I don't even know if that exists anymore. So anyways, the Center of Influence or Past Client script or whatever says it's people you know, hi, this is Danielle with EWM Realty. This is a business call. Do you have a minute? And then what I would do is bring them something of value. Now, if you don't want to say this is a business call, you can change it up. But the point is letting them know that it's a quick call and you're specifically calling for business, not to, not to just shoot the shit with them. And then you want to bring them something of value. It could be like something, I was just giving you a call to let you know that I have a buyer I'm working with. They're looking for a 3-2 for $350,000. It's been difficult for us to try and find them something. And you came to my mind. I was just curious who you knew that might be thinking of selling. Okay, so that is a very simple script that you can use to call your centers of influence or your past clients. Okay, and if I would just go with a business call, why like change it up or overthink it? Hey, hi Judy, this is Danielle with EWM Realty. How are you? Great. This is a business call. Do you have a minute for me? Awesome. I'm actually working with a buyer right now. They're looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath. Up to $350,000. You may or may not have this buyer, just real quick. So you can still say it up to $350,000, and it's been a challenge trying to find them something. So I was thinking of you, and I was just curious, who do you know that might be looking to sell their home right now? And they may say, oh, I don't know of anybody. Oh, okay, I completely understand. I know the market's been tight. Can you think of anybody in your church group or friends, family at the school, like give them a little bit more to think about for a minute? No, actually, my friend Judy might be looking to sell, but I'm not sure. Oh, that's amazing. Would you mind if I gave them a call? You don't want to say, can you give them my number? Would you mind if I gave them a call? By the way, are you loving your home? Are you staying put, or do you think you may move in the future? So change up the scripts however you want it to, right? But that's a script that you can start using today to call your past clients, to call your spheres of influence, to call your friends, to call your family. And maybe you don't have that buyer, okay? But maybe somebody in your office does, or somebody on your team does, right? So Rebecca has a team. So Rebecca could say, hey guys, I have Susie Q who's been looking for a home at, up to blah, blah, blah. And then everybody can start calling their friends, family, relatives, things like that. So that's a quick script. So before, when people were saying, I'm not really sure who to call, get your daily success plan out and figure out who you can call using that script. Okay. Another quick and easy script. I'm not getting into expireds and for sale by owners. In fact, I have specific, we're gonna do that, but I have specific classes on expired listings and for sale by owners because they're intense. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of scripting, objections, listing presentation stuff. So I'm gonna just do the easier ones right now. So another one that I actually took my first listing in Miami from was the just listed script. An agent listed a property in an area that I really liked. And I went to him and said, hey, do you mind if I call around the neighborhood? Now, I didn't have to ask him, but I just wanted to in case someone said, oh, Danielle from your office was calling. So I didn't want it to be weird. Plus I was the new girl. So, but anyways, so I would call and say, hey, this is Danielle with EWM Realty. My company just listed a home over in your neighborhood. It was a gorgeous 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We listed it for 1.15 million. And I was wondering who that might want to move into your neighborhood. And then they would say either, oh, I don't know anybody, or, oh, is that Susie Q's house? Or, so I had the listing, I knew the owner's name, so I could kind of go along with that. And then that was my, and whatever they would say, you always, as we get into scripting deeper, after you repeat what they said, affirm what they said, like agree. So if they said, oh, I don't know anybody, oh, okay, I completely understand that you don't know anybody. Usually when we list a home, a couple more homes go up for sale in your neighborhood. Do you know of anybody in your neighborhood that might be looking to sell? So I would have my script in front of me, and that's how I got my very first listing in Miami. After 30 days of cold calling, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 30 days, it's a long time. It's a lot of rejection. It is terrible. I second guessed why I moved there. I think I made the decision sitting at the pool at the JW Marriott drinking wine. And then I realized later on, like, why did I just move my family here? But anyways, the lady said, I just opened the phone book to find a realtor. We inherited this house. My husband's parents had died, blah, blah, blah. So I ran over and I took the listing right away. So that is another, you can do that script with the just listed or the just sold. That's a quick and easy script, but you got to practice it to get good at it, right? Another one that I'll bring up real quick. I don't want to do any expired or FSBOs right now. If you want to look at the FSBO script, I did change it up a little bit and I have more. I'm going to add to the script book because some of the scripts I actually have better, like it's the same, but I just changed it up a little bit. If you guys are getting buyers or sellers, okay, I want to make sure that you are pre-qualifying them. I'm going to find my buyer pre-qualification script and send that one to everybody as well. It was not in here. So I have a whole checklist script thing for listing appointments and a whole checklist script thing for buyers and buyer appointments. So I want to make sure that you guys are pre-qualifying. And if you have a buyer that you have not spoken to in a while, or, is a couple of months out, making sure that you're re-qualifying them. Because if you're not only that, if you're showing buyers properties, okay, and you show them 5 or 6 homes and they're not able to find, or they don't like what you've shown them, you have to have another meeting. Because the more you show a buyer properties that they don't like, if you don't have that conversation with them again, they're going to leave you, right? So you want to make sure maybe they needed a 4-bed, 3-bath, and they're okay with a 3-bed plus a den at this point, or they're okay with a 3-bedroom at this point. They're willing to give up something because of what they've seen is on the market. So you have to make sure you're having those requalification conversations. So objection handling review, and then I'm going to give you your homework because we have 2 minutes left. So objections, okay, are just a question in the mind of the prospect, and that's all it is. So if someone says, well, what's your commission, right? A lot of times we're like, oh my God, I don't know how to respond to that. You got to get really good at your objection handler on that one, because that is what you're going to get a lot of time. But think about it. It's a question. It's a question we don't like answering. And I will help show you how to answer that over the phone, because you don't want to answer that over the phone. And I have little 3x5 cards on what to say if somebody asks me that. But it's just a question in the mind of the prospect. Like, don't think of it as an objection. Whenever somebody gives you an objection, you have to repeat, affirm, answer the question, and then ask another question. So that's how the whole thing goes. So if they say, you know, what's your commission? I would then say, let's say it's an expired listing and they don't want to have me over unless I tell them my commission. You know, that's a really good question. And I'm so glad you asked. I repeated, that's a really good question about the commission. And I'm so glad you asked. What I would love to do is schedule an appointment with you so I can show you how commission can be used as a tool to get your home sold. What would be better? I can meet with you this afternoon at 5 o'clock, or is 7 better for you? Okay. So repeat what they've said, affirm, not object, affirm, answer their question, and then ask them another question. Okay. This is all going to come once we start digging deeper into this. You need to be digging deep for their motivation. Motivation is so important. If you tell people facts, facts tell, stories sell, okay? Facts tell and emotions sell. So you need to get into their emotions, right? You need to tell stories. If you tell someone a fact, it really doesn't make them make a decision or make them make a move, okay? You want to look for clues in their personality style. This is going to be something we're going to be talking in another session about versatility. People like doing business with people like themselves. If you want to sell more homes, you need to become more like the person that you're dealing with. If you're dealing with an analytical, which I am not an analytical at all, you need to bring them stats, you know, facts, figures, right? If you're right, Rebecca, with Jeff, right? If you bring me facts, stats, figures, I'm like, oh, that is not the person for me, because I don't care about that. It's how I feel. But everybody's different. So you have to start to look for clues in their personality style to, you know, be able to sell more. And it's called versatility. And so we'll talk about more personality styles in another session. So this is going to be the homework. And then I'm going to answer Taylor's question. I'm sorry I kept going. But plan your week for next week. I need you to get your daily success plan. Do it this weekend. I know it's super busy, or do it right after this call, right? Maybe you take 30 minutes after every Friday call to get it done, so you don't even have to worry about it again, and plan your week. Who are you calling? Remember, write down how many buyer appointments and listing appointments you're going on next week. You might not have any prospect for a buyer or listing appointment. Just write down how many you're going to do. One of them if you don't have anybody, okay? How many price reductions if you have listings. If you have listings and they're sitting, you owe it to you and your seller to revisit the price and go back for price reductions, okay? Especially now, the market is changing. When we're in an appreciating market, that's one thing. When we're in a depreciating market, okay, and shifts can happen quickly. Anyone that's in KW knows that, right? So shifts can happen quickly, and that's in Gary Keller's book, Shift. So if you have a listing and you list it here, but the market's dropping, okay, by the time you go back for that price reduction that you might have mentioned at that listing appointment, you're here and the market's here. You're chasing that market down. You don't want to do that. So you need to be on top of your listings to get these listings sold, and make sure you're going back to motivation when you're having those consultations. So how many requalifications, how many buyers do you know that you haven't talked to in 4, 5, 6 months that you can go back to and requalify them? Okay. How many social media posts are you going to do? And plan your posts. What I do on my cell phone, I use the notes on my Apple, but people use Evernote, different things like that. If you have an idea for a post, speak it into your phone, have a piece of paper, write it down, okay? And then you can plan, get your computer, get a Word doc, write out all of your posts that you want to do on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and then have a schedule of when you're posting them. Copy paste Monday, copy paste Tuesday, copy paste Wednesday. If you're doing videos, what are they going to be? It's better to shoot a bunch of videos in one day than to do every day. Oh, I'm going to do a video today. Then you're trying to think about what you're going to do. Then you're like, then you never do it. How many networking events, lunches, builder stop bys, door knocking? How many properties are you going to preview if you're new? Okay. Get a role play partner, an accountability partner. I will put everybody in this group, all of the info, so you guys have it. So that way you can reach out to each other. Because I was going to pair people up, but I didn't want to, I mean, I can still do that, but I'll talk to you guys after about accountability and like what I think. And then if you have friends, kids, etc., like get them involved. Like my kids were always involved. They heard my role plays, they heard this. So they know, a lot about business and sales just by listening to me, right? So a lot of times we want to exclude them, but it's good for them to hear us on the phone. It's good for them to hear us talking to clients. Just tell them that they need to be quiet. But, so get the kids involved. So that's it for today. Next week, if you do not see my PowerPoint, you need to let me know because I will have a PowerPoint for every week. And does anybody have any questions? Was this helpful? What do you guys think? A lot of info?
I think it was helpful. Yes, a lot of info.
Yes, definitely a lot of info all at once. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope, but I have a comment. If anyone
Okay.
has a for Ave Maria, I just did a price reduction this week, so it's $430. You have a water view. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home, 2019 build, really nice. So we're having an open house on Sunday from 11 to 2, cupcakes and champagne. So come down, bring your buyers, and you can do a video there too. So that will help boost your business as well.
I love it. And that price reduction is a win. Like that is definitely a win. And that is a huge reason that you can call the neighborhood and let them know, so if you guys get open houses in neighborhoods, always try and get the neighborhood directory. Okay. Always try and ask for the neighborhood directory and let them know why, because you're going to call all of the neighbors and let them know you have a price improvement. Or you don't even have to say that. I mean, you can say we're listed at blah, blah, blah. And let all of the neighbors know, invite them to the open house, let them know you have a special preview for them before. Those are active, lead generation techniques that whenever I went on a listing presentation, that was part of my marketing plan that my sellers loved, that set me apart from every other agent out there. Right. So that if you're doing that, that's part of your marketing plan in your listing presentation. Active marketing to get their property sold, not just put it on the market, put a sign in the yard and pray that it sells and buy a St. Joseph. So, alrighty, sounds good. That's your homework. I will send everybody the recording. And if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. I will send you guys little reminders throughout the week, and then we'll be back on Wednesday for anybody that has questions. Sound good?
Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend. Get that listing sold.